Welcome to Delistember. Now, we've gone from games to TV shows, now we're moving back onto games. And of course, we're talking about the best games of this year. Now, before we start, some ground rules. And the only one is pretty much no HD remasters and no remix. So, sorry Crash Bandicoot. And while it's not really a remaster, it is a re-release, so that is also included in here. But, I just have to say, I love Skyrim VR, but sadly, it does not count. But yeah, with that out of the way, let's get to it. Here are my favorite games of 2017. As a huge fan of Metal Slug and classic cartoons from the Golden Age, this is easily one of the best side-scrollers in recent years. But what makes this game even better is how hard it gets. I mean, side-scrolling games are hard, but they just dialed it up to 11 with this one, because my god. Just watch any streamer, any freaking video, any compilation, you'll see people crying and just cursing the name of the developers. Why the hell did you make this? Yet at the end of the day, you can't help yourself but just be ecstatic and just elated with just complete joy at how fun and beautiful looking this game is. As a huge fan of the original and survival horror games in general, imagine my surprise when this game topped every expectation I had of it. I mean, taking some heavy cues this time from survival horror games from the PS2 era, this jumbles up what seems like a bunch of mismatching puzzle pieces into a game that shines as its own unique experience. It's honestly greater than the sum of its parts, and any fan of survival horror in general will be happy with the result here. I mean, this game is just utterly fantastic. Everything is just well crafted, well done. Every single aspect, just from the quasi-open world gameplay to just the psychological mind hell you're going to be stepping into, is just amazing. Not to mention better enemy design, better level design. Story-wise, I would have loved them to, answer more questions from the first game, but at the same time, I'm kind of glad they didn't. Bottom line, this has it all. Gameplay, story, and a notable aesthetic that just completely terrifies the crap out of me. And what more could you ask for from a survival horror game? Now before you guys comment, I know this was originally a DLC for Uncharted 4, but it got a physical release. And yes, while it did start off as a DLC, it quickly grew into something bigger. Gameplay-wise, it's the same as before. Don't fix something that isn't broken. But the reason to play here is for the story, and the great characters and the overall amazing adventure. It doesn't hold anything back, and it graciously puts the spotlight on two characters that have easily become two of my favorites of the whole series now. I mean, yeah, this is just literally just an extension to Uncharted 4, but can you really complain? It's so much fun, it's so action-packed, and everything, the actual landscapes are just utterly beautiful. The dialogue is hilariously written, and everything is just so well crafted. I'm surprised that this game has, it does not have Nathan Drake at all. Yet, it feels like an Uncharted game. It's sad to think that this may very well be the final Uncharted game ever. I mean, here's to hoping that it's not true, but despite that, it's a great game to go out on. I never knew killing Nazis would be this much fun. I mean, mixing high-octane action with a great American pastime is just a fantastic experience. Everything here is just balls-to-the-wall carnage, and absolutely just fun. I mean, I loved Doom, but Wolfenstein 2 is where it's at. I mean, everything about this game is just utterly brutal. Everything is fantastic. The weapons, the freaking just kills, and just the gratification of just murdering every son of a bitch Nazi in front of you is just so much fun. And whether you have some political ties to it, or you just want to just shoot people's heads off, there's just something so much more, cathartic about just torturing and just mowing down a whole army of Nazis. Top it off with a great alternate universe timeline, where Nazis have actually won World War II, and all of the science and technology has pretty much become Nazi technology. So what better way to eviscerate them than with their own weapons? But yeah, besides that, likable characters and some great level design, and you easily got one of the best first-person shooter games in recent history. The Souls genre is getting pretty big now. And yes, I say genre, because it's no longer just a series. With copycats like The Surge and Lords of the Fallen, it's easy to see how well the formula can be utilized and how it, well, can't. But, come to think of it, you can't really call it a Souls genre, because before there were the Souls games, there was a series called Ninja Gaiden. And boy howdy, if you want to talk about hard yet extremely gratifying gameplay, then this series is just for you. Well, from the same creators comes this masterpiece, Nioh. And it's just such a great game where it mixes the old with the new, and yes, people call this a Souls genre game, like whatever, but it has much more in common with Ninja Gaiden. I mean, with something as simple as providing the player 3 different modes of attack, defensive, offensive, and somewhere in the middle, this hack and slash ceases to be a game about timing and more about skill and precision. Top it off with a story that's semi-based off an actual event. Just, the creators here take very creative liberties here. Overall, Nioh is a fantastic game. And yes, it's a hard game. So sadly, this may not be for everyone. But if you're up for it, this could easily be your next hack and slash romance. Horizon Zero Dawn. To be quite honest, its open world style gameplay has been done before. Hell, in fact, it's been done to death. But Guerrilla Games, the creators of Killzone, has found a way to reinvigorate it. I mean, the world is beautiful, the lore is intriguing, and the characters are so lovable, and the voice acting is fantastic. But the best part about this game is, well, the gameplay. I mean, overall, this whole experience is just chock full of just this vast open world where you can do anything you want, essentially. But the combat is where it's at. And when you're fighting against either a herd of dinosaur or robot dinosaurs, or just one, you can easily feel, at least if you're playing on hard, you can easily feel that every single enemy is a viable threat. This game is easily become one of the favorites of this whole year. And if you believe that this game is the best game of the year, I can't argue with you. Like, it's that fantastic. This is an interesting one. Labeled as an independent AAA game, it sold at half the price. Yet it felt much more polished than half the games that label themselves as such. Hellblade is one of the most gripping stories this year, and this is because it deals with some very dark themes. Most importantly, mental illness. I mean, it's utterly heart-wrenching and terrifying to see how deep this will go to show how bad mental illness and how people are affected by it. Overall, it's just a very grueling experience, but in the best kind of way, whereas the gameplay's fun and everything, but the story elements, I mean, the acting is fantastic. I mean, Melina Juergens as Senua just delivered one of the best performances of the year. Not only that, but like there's gameplay mechanics in the game that kind of, mess with your mind, and like the game will straight up lie to you. That's how far it goes to try to instill the kind of vibe of mental illness into you. The game will lie to you, and it will lose your trust, and it will just have you second guessing yourself. It'll have you thinking, wait a minute, is that right or is that not right? It'll have you literally lose your mind in certain situations. Overall, this is a game that took a huge gamble releasing in AAA territory, but in the end, it not only became one of the most loved games of the year, but it may just inspire a whole new trend. Look, if you follow this channel, I know I've talked about this game to death. I mean, I've done playthroughs, I've done reviews, and of all the DLC and the main game itself, I've talked about this game enough. But just let me gush about it one more time this year. Resident Evil 7 is just a masterpiece. Not only is it just the Resident Evil game, but as a survival horror game in general. It is absolutely fantastic. Everything it does, the tension building, the enemy design, the level design, everything here shines. And it's all crafted to scare the crap out of you. Every moment of this game was just nail-biting. Every encounter was just terrifying. I just absolutely loved every second of this game. And just bringing back the old gameplay style, the item management where it actually mattered, and well, as small as it was, puzzles, it's just fantastic. And to top it all off, and the reason why it's so high on this list is, well, it's all in VR. This topped my list of best VR games of 2017. And, well, that's one of the main reasons I love it. Because not only is this game terrifying, but in VR, this is a must-have experience. Now, at a distance, this game may seem like a, very juvenile high school sim type of game, but that's probably because you don't know much about the Persona series. And well, if that's the case, allow me to enlighten you. Gameplay-wise, this game is a typical high school sim, a turn-based RPG, and a dungeon crawler. What about the story? Well, you begin the game as a normal teenager who stumbles upon another world under ours, a world that feeds off emotions of society. In typical fashion, you and a group of friends team up and decide to explore and solve a mystery of how and why people are killing themselves in Tokyo. Again, seems like a typical RPG, but now add on an intuitive combat system, tons of different persona to choose from, a huge sandbox full of things to do to level up your character, a deep rich story, a truckload of characters which you can interact with in different ways, top-notch voice acting and writing, a beautifully crafted colorful pop art style, and a killer funky soundtrack. And you have the makings of one of the best, if not the best, RPG that has come out in years. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, if RPGs aren't really your bag, this isn't really not going to change your mind. But if you're at all interested, or especially if you love RPGs, this is a must-have. It is just freaking amazing. I mean, everything about it is amazing. The whole craftsmanship. I mean, it took years for this game to come out, and it was worth it. Every second of me waiting after Persona 3 or Persona 4, I was just hyped. This game was delayed like 2 years here in America. Yet I was completely blown away at the result, and everything about it is just, again, sound like a broken record here, fantastic. And despite it being one of the best RPGs ever made, it is being heralded as the best PS4 game, bar none. And that is a tall order. I mean, tall order to fill.
Yes!
What the hell is this? I mean, after Skyward Sword, I was kind of getting the vibe that, the Zelda series is kind of getting stale. But then this came out, and I was like, oh, cool. I mean, it's like Link to the Past, but, complete open world. But, I really want... I mean, granted, this is an amazing game, but could they get better than this? Yes. If you want to talk about freedom, this is the game to talk about. I mean, take pretty much every great aspect of every single one of the past Zelda games, throw them all together into this huge pot, and just add on a huge open world, and you get one of the greatest, if not the best Zelda game that has ever been made. I mean, everything about this is fantastic, and it all comes down to detail. I mean, simple things like, you not being able to climb a mountain because it's raining and the rocks are too slippery, or, being caught out in the middle of a storm and you have to put away anything metal, otherwise you'll get struck by lightning. And on top of that, the dungeons. Yes, I will say this. The dungeons, while they are lacking as the main dungeons, there's only 3? There's 100+ side dungeons. And these aren't just run-of-the-mill run in and you do one puzzle. Some of them actually last for a while. And again, everything is open world. Everything you can do at your own leisure. You can run straight to Ganon from the very beginning. You'll probably get killed, or you might be a psycho who can defeat him with 50 spoons. It's been done. But that's how great this game is. The thing that I loved about Zelda, just in general, is that it's a fantastic journey from beginning to end. And this is the first one where I truly felt like I was creating the journey myself. I was doing everything on my own cognition. I wasn't listening to anyone else, because not only is this world vast and open, but it's also extremely dangerous. And it kind of just pushes you to level up, to just get better, just to be able to survive the elements, just to move on and just to survive. And on top of that, just fantastic, I mean fantastic art design, great soundtrack, great ambience, and the world just feels amazing and alive. I mean, I can't give this game any more praise than I've already done before. I mean, if you haven't tried it yourself, play it yourself. But this is easily, bar none, hands down, my favorite. And I mean, it's kind of hard to argue, but this is the best Legend of Zelda game ever made. Well, that's the list. And now, before I get to the honorable mentions, I do want to address a problem. That's, of course, where in the hell is Super Mario Odyssey? And yes, I did not play this game. So, as much as I agree with you guys that this game looks amazing and, the reviews are definitely, pointing me to the fact that this is definitely my cup of tea, I didn't play it. So I cannot in all good faith put it on this list. So yeah, with that out of the way, let's continue. Honorable mentions. First up, Friday the 13th. Yes, this game had a horrible, and I mean rough launch, but over time and with a strong fan base, this game has just become so much fun. And as a multiplayer experience, it's just that. It's just great. It's a fantastic multiplayer experience. Speaking of multiplayer experiences, next up, Fortnite PvP and PUBG. Personally, I prefer Fortnite because of the whole, crafting and building, pretty much forts. I mean, it's Fortnite, but with the whole realistic vibe with PUBG, either way, they're all fantastic, and you cannot go wrong with either one. Next up, Nier Automata. Such a weird game. It mixes up a bunch of gameplay styles that really have that seamlessly connect so well, and the whole lore is just out of left field. It is just crazy and bonkers, but it's just a great game. And sadly, not many people are actually, playing it. People are talking about it, but sales-wise, this game is not doing so well. So hopefully, it gets the love it deserves fairly soon. Next up, Tekken 7. The highest grossing, one of the best fighting game series ever. And probably, hands down, the best 3D-based fighting game, period. I mean, it's Tekken. What more do you want? And I don't want to just use like a blanket statement like that, but it's so goddamn good. And if you haven't played Tekken before, go play Tekken. And even whether it's not even Tekken 7, go play Tekken Tag Tournament 2. Regardless, this is a great, and I mean great, fighting game series. And finally, Farpoint. Just as a normal, as a game, like a first-person shooter, it's decent. It's got a good story. It's got good gameplay. It's all well done. But with the aim controller and the VR headset, it is just put up to this such a higher level than it really is, and it's a must-have experience. It's just fantastic. It's fun, and it's really, really heart-pounding. I just absolutely loved it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I think, yeah, that's pretty much it. But yeah, that's the video. If there's any video games you guys you loved in this year and I didn't mention on the list, please let me know. Tell me your guys' top 10s. I'd love to hear them in the comments below. But other than that, goddamn, 2017 was just a fantastic year for video games. Well, I'm already looking forward to seeing some fantastic titles coming out in January of 2018. So, it's looking like things are not going to be stopping anytime soon. I mean, with the PS4 era, or Xbox, what is it, the 7th generation, going strong. I mean, all we have to look forward to now is just fantastic games. And yes, probably a whole new generation coming soon, but who cares about that? It's now. The time is now. And my God, we have a crap ton of games to look forward to, and that we already have right now. But yeah, regardless, that's the video. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys later.